Hi, I'm Cameron. I think you've probably figured that one out by this point. I'd sure hope so. Maybe not. Maybe you don't know who I am, but I'm Cameron. And today, I want to talk about something that I care a lot about, and that would be Tekken. Now, Tekken is something that means a lot to me. I really love Tekken. The first fighting game I ever played in my entire life was Tekken 3. But by the way, this is Tekken 2. I don't have Tekken 1. I don't know where to get it. I will get it when I find it, but this is Tekken 3. The first fighting game I ever played when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old was Tekken 3. I guess technically it would be Melee, but back then when I was, spitting up bubbles and having a fun time in my diaper, I didn't know what a video game was, so I don't count that. The first fighting game I consciously remember playing was Tekken 3. And I played Eddie Gordo because I thought it was really cool that he was the dancing guy. And I played Yoshimitsu because I thought he looked really cool and he had a sword too. And Yoshimitsu and Eddie are really what I remember about Tekken from when I was a kid. It's really weird. I don't remember anything about Jin or Heihachi or Brian or Nina or Paul or Law or anybody like that, despite the fact that all of those guys are in this game. I remember Mokujin and Ogre. I remember that. But this video was supposed to be about why I'm really disillusioned with the state. Here, I should have had this set up better because now we're like having like a cool demonstration. It was gonna be about why I'm disillusioned with the state with Tekken 8. Because I really didn't like Tekken 8 when I played it a lot when it came out. I had a lot of problems with it. But I tell you what, I played it again recently, the last couple of days, and I found out that I ended up really enjoying it. And there was a lot more going on with Tekken 8 than I was giving it credit for. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because even at the end of coming back to Tekken 8 and playing it again, and I'm not going to do the whole demonstration, but this is like the rest of my collection. The only games I'm missing are Tag 2, a physical copy of Tekken 7, and Tekken 1. Yes, I have Tekken Advance. It's just not on the shelf. I don't know where my copy of Tekken Advance is at. I think that's somewhere separate. But even after going back to Tekken 8 and ending up enjoying it a lot more than I did initially and realizing that, I just didn't figure out how to play it quite yet, I ultimately feel like it's still for the best if I kind of just stop playing it entirely. Now, as a little bit of context, Tekken 3 was my first Tekken that I ever played, but I didn't really start getting seriously into it until Tekken 7. I had the worst summer of my life. A lot of my stories open with me prefacing it by saying that something horrible happened. It's just kind of how life is, I guess. But I had the worst summer of my life, and I cut ties with a very bad group of people that I associated with at the time, and I wanted to get my mind off of things. And I saw Tekken 7, and I thought it looked really cool, so I picked it up. I played Steve for a very long time. I played Paul a little bit, until eventually I ended up playing Lars for some reason. There's this really great video on YouTube called Lars' Journey. It's by TendoXI. And watching that video made me think this character was really cool, and I wanted to play him too. But it was difficult, since anywhere I looked online for information, it was just people saying that the character was terrible and not to play them. And even now that I understand how Lars works, I still think he's the worst character. Like, flat out. He's fine in Tekken 8. I just think that every other character in Tekken 8 is better than Lars. He's good. Don't get me wrong. It's just that in a game full of triple S tiers, Lars is still like a A tier. Or a B tier. But that's not what this conversation is about. But despite the fact that this character was bad, and there wasn't very much information about him online to help out with that, and anytime I asked for advice, I got, ignored, like, just don't play this character, man, that's my advice. I still persevered with it, and I went to Evo 2019, and I managed to get out of pools, and I ended up having to fight against Nobi on winner's side, and let me tell you what, it was a lot closer than I expected, but I still got 2-0'd. No big surprise there. Um, but I had fun. It was a good experience, and I was really happy because I was playing Lars. And I played Lars throughout all of Tekken 7, and eventually ended up getting Tekken God Prime with him. I thought about going for Tekken God Omega, but that would have been like an extra few months of just playing 10 hours a day every single day that I didn't feel like doing. And so when I first got into Tekken, my goal was to get to green ranks. It was to get to Brawler. Never in a million years would I have imagined that by the end of Tekken 7, I was going to be Tekken God Prime and then randomly running into pro players in ranked and actually managing to take games off of them. That meant a lot to me. It still means a lot to me. It still makes me very happy that despite everything, if I go boot up Tekken 8 right now, I can randomly run into like Joey Fury or something on his like 8th alternate character and I can still play with him. I can still put up a fight. That makes me really happy. But as time went on and I got older, the thought of playing Tekken more kind of gradually became less appealing to me. And the reason for that is because I realized I was platooing, however you want to say it. Words are hard. You know, we're not talking about nuclear deterrence or something like that. I realized I reached a level where if I wanted to progress any further than where I was at right now, I'd have to dedicate myself to it. I'd have to put in a very significant amount of time to learn matchups, like memorize all of the frame data, know like all of my like stage specific combos and character matchups and everything like that. Tekken has 50 characters in Tekken 7. Tekken 8 has about 30, I think we're at like 35-ish now. It's something like that. It's around like the mid-30s. And that's a lot of information to take in every single day and to practice every single day and to memorize and then get the muscle memory down and have all of the knowledge up here for all those different matchups and stages and variations and all of that and whatnot. And there was a part of me that wanted to keep playing Tekken, wanted to keep getting better. But then a thought came to me, and that was, if I want to get any better at Tekken, I have to stop playing Lars. Now bear in mind, this was during Tekken 7, not necessarily during Tekken 8, where I think that that game is set up to where, regardless of who you're playing as, because the system mechanics are so broken, you can do a pretty decent job with anybody. If you just run up jab and then go into heat, that's like you're plus enough to go for a mix on any character in that game. It doesn't matter who you're playing as. But in Tekken 7, it was like, if I want to get better at this game, I have to play somebody other than the worst character in the game. And that wasn't fun to me. I loved playing Lars. I thought Lars was such a fun character. But I was running into people who knew how to fight Lars. And at that point, it stops being about having fun playing Lars and turns into, now I am playing a worse version of Fang. I'm playing a worse version of Kunimitsu. And like it just wasn't enjoyable anymore. It was like all of the unique attributes that made Tekken enjoyable for me through playing Lars were now taken away at that highest level where it's like people can very easily react to a move that's 21 frames. People can very easily sidestep a character whose entire kit revolves around extremely linear moves. And I wasn't really having fun anymore. The prospect of playing somebody other than Lars wasn't really something that I enjoyed. Realizing that I had reached the level where if I wanted to get more consistent results, I would need to buckle and start thinking about the meta and start thinking about playing objectively correct and just taking fewer risks and partying less, I guess. And there are plenty of people who would tell me that I'm just wrong about that. Like, oh, look at iMusician. He plays Yoshimitsu and he played Yoshimitsu in 7 and he's fantastic. He never won like any big tournaments or anything like that. And like, oh well, look at Rangchu. He won the world tournament with Panda, and it's like that's true. I still think that Panda is better than Lars. But in terms of the way that Tekken is played, I think that a person can get very far playing characters that aren't objectively perfect, that don't have any faults. But at the end of the day, they're not going to do as well against people who are playing the best character in the game and who don't make mistakes. What are you supposed to do against Arslan Ash when he's playing Nina? I've been saying Nina was broken for like 7 years. It's just that nobody played her in 7 because she was so much harder than like Fang. Or like Jin. Even Jin is like way easier to play than Nina. But now she's easier to play. And now the best player in the world is playing her. And like, you watch footage of Arslan and like very few people can touch him. Not even just like take rounds off of him, but even touch him. And I look at Tekken 8, and it's like, yeah, the system mechanics are super strong. You know, Heat is super strong. Every character kind of plays the same when they use Heat. So at that point, why would I want to continue to play a character in a game about system mechanics who has a worse version of the system mechanics than the best character in the game? You look at Dragunov, and it's like he can do instant while running 2 in your face, then do Heat, now he's plus, then he can Heat Smash again, now he's plus, and now you have to block the mix again. And he has a throw game on top of that. And his tracking's really not that bad in Tekken 8. He's really not that linear anymore. And he has down back 3+4. And all of his, like, strings are, like, super safe. And if you finish the string, you win the match. Like, there's really not that much risk playing Dragunov. But playing Lars, I really have to put myself out there. I really have to outplay my opponent. I really have to put all the effort in to think about what I'm doing. Now, people are going to be like, oh, you just press up, forward, 3. You just press 1, 1, 1. What are you talking about? And that's true. It's funny. But realistically speaking, I'm at the point to where I feel as if I want to get any better at this, I have to start making sacrifices. And I understand that's what it takes to be good at something that you care about. You have to be dedicated. A person needs to put the time in and put the effort in and make a genuine attempt at being better at something if they want to be better about it. But at the end of the day, Tekken is a video game that I play to have fun. Tekken is a video game I play because I like the characters, I like the music, I like the story, I like the stages, I like the combos. I don't really care about being better than anybody else. And for someone like me, who's a very emotional person, who takes things a little too personally all of the time, playing Tekken is just exhausting for me, because I've reached out to people trying to ask for advice, and they're very dismissive. Or if you're not like a famous person, if you're not already like in the circle, you're not going to get any attention. You're not going to get any advice. You need to be like in the know. You have to have your face up there. And then once you're like in the know and your face is up there like that, then everybody like worships you regardless of what you do. Everybody gives you the time of day. And playing Tekken is frustrating since a lot of it does kind of feel like it boils down to that inner circle sometimes, where it's like, well, if you're not in the special Discord, then you just don't get to get matches. Or even if you are in the Discord, if you aren't like kissing ass every single day, you aren't going to like get invited to the events. You're not going to get notified that tournaments are going on. I remember there was a tournament that I entered in a Discord where I got second in it. The guy who beat me was way better. He was playing Jin, and I was playing Paul. So that was a bad decision. I'm not good with Paul, but I managed to get that far in the tournament with like Paul and Steve. Back before I really even played Lars or anything like that. And I remember there was like a message in the Discord afterwards where someone was like, wow, this guy got second. I thought he just was annoying. Like, I thought he just came in and made dumb jokes. I didn't even know he played the game. I was in there every day asking for games. And nobody like ever responded to that. I would ask for advice, and it would be like, go and talk to this person. And then you'd go and talk to that person, and you would just get ignored. I would run into people in player match who were in the server that I was in for matches, and they would like Alt F4 after I took a game, and I'd message them in the server, and they'd be like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was you. Except that my name on Discord and my name on Steam are the same thing. And A lot of the time I took that really personally. A lot of the time I felt like, well, I don't know why people just don't like me. I try to be friendly. But the same thing I talk about in a lot of my videos where I realize that, you know, toxic people aren't picky, that type of thing, is that nobody who plays Tekken cares about me. No one who plays that game and goes into ranked is like they see me and they're like, oh, this guy? No one does that. And if they do that, then that's their problem. That I live rent free in their head because I did up forward 3 when they were like -5 and they got mad that they got hit by it for some reason. The reality is just that an environment where it's about being the best, it's about self improvement, it's about like beating the other guy that attracts people who play video games is not going to be a very healthy environment. Because that same competitiveness that you get in sports, where you need to be like physically fit and you need to have coordination with multiple different people, that's not present in Tekken. That's not present in a competitive video game. Someone like me who didn't have any friends growing up, who didn't like sports growing up. I did archery, but I never competed in it because I thought competing in archery was like a waste of time. I thought it would make it unfun, just like Tekken. Oh, but video games attracted me because they like were appealing to me because they let me like be good at something mechanically and they told a story and stuff like that and whatnot. But how many times has anyone who's watching this video who's like gone to a tournament or something like that walked in the room and got hit with like a wave of stench? That's the type of person who likes playing these games. That's like the general like feel that you're interacting with that. And I'm not putting anybody down. When I went to Evo, everyone was super extremely nice. Everyone was so cool to me. I remember I met Justin Wong there and I went up and I was like, "Can I get a picture? I'm such a big fan." And he was like, "Yeah, of course, man. We got a picture." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, Justin. I really appreciate that. It's so nice to finally meet you." And he said, "Yeah, you too." And I was like, "Me? I'm no one. Me? It's nice to meet me? I'm nobody." And everybody I met was like that. I met Harada at Evo, and he was like super nice. He took the picture. He like shook my hand. He was like, "Thank you," in surprisingly good English. And that was really fun. But then like the act of playing in pools was pretty not fun to me because it's like people breathing over your shoulder telling you how bad you are at the game while you are trying to play. And people and like you can like smell their breath on you while you're trying to play. And I mean, people are going to be like, "That's just the scene. Maybe you're not like tough enough for it," or something like that. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's just a bad environment for me. You know, maybe I can't deal with people screaming in my ear about how I should stop playing the game because I just landed back one on their friend who keeps mashing when he's minus. Or like maybe I am just bad at the game because I throw somebody 8 times in a row because I know they're not going to break it. And part of being stronger at Tekken is realizing that people are going to be negative and put you down because it's like a defense mechanism, is to make themselves feel better. But I'm not good at that. I'm not good at getting yelled at. I'm not good at like when I play Tekken 8 and I see that I'm fighting somebody who's streaming, I usually check out the stream afterwards. And when I win, they're doing nothing but saying horrible things about me. Like just the other day, I lost against like this June player, and I checked the chat, and it was just like, "This guy's such a disgrace. This guy's such a loser. Why does he bother playing this character when he's so awful?" And I just posted a message like, "Oh, sorry, man. I didn't mean to offend you." And it was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And everybody's just like trying to like kiss up. Everybody's just trying to get famous. Everybody's just trying to like be all gangster and stuff like that. But the second that someone like famous walks in the room, they're like, "Oh, I'm such a big fan. I love you." Or the second that somebody comes in and they're like, "Hey, by the way, I'm a human being with feelings. Like I'm gonna, you know, I'm not just like some random drone." They're like, "I'm so sorry. You're one of us now. You're a brother. Welcome to the stream." I just don't like that. I miss when it was about playing the game and having fun, because that's what I do when I play Tekken. I want to have fun with it. And when you go into an environment where it's extremely hyper competitive and people's entire existence hinges on whether or not they land this next hell sweep, If you block their hell sweep, they are going to write a twit longer about how their life doesn't have any meaning. Then I think that's a very hostile environment, and it's really difficult for someone like me who's so emotional to be in a hostile environment like that. And there's plenty of instances of like top players doing stuff like this, but they get a free pass because they're like, "Oh, he's just joking. It's just a joke. He's just joking because he's like this big top player, so he can say that and it's funny." And I really dislike that. And I do want to like asterisk that as much as possible, like disclaimer. Everyone I met at Evo was extremely nice. Everyone was so friendly. And it was such a great experience to be able to meet all of these people, like all these players I look up to, and to go like, wow, they're nice. I don't know, maybe Nobi like secretly like kicks puppies or something like that, but he was nice to me at least, like there's that at least. And I've met a lot of people playing Tekken. Most of my best friends that I still talk to every day are because I played Tekken. But at the same time, for every like one person I've met in my life who's had such a positive influence and is such a wonderful person, there's like 30 or 40 people who told me to like die and like said like my mother, like they like horrible things about me. And they meant it too. I'm not saying like Call of Duty lobby trash talk. I mean like they go out of their way to find you and then message you and then tell you these things. Like that's just an online game, bro. You just gotta get used to it. I don't care. I don't care what the culture is. I don't care like, oh man, you just gotta get used to trash talk. That's stupid. That's dumb. I think that's an excuse to be a jerk to people, and it's like a video game shouldn't give you a reason to start saying horrible things to people. I think that's a bad environment. And that was a big factor in it, where it's like, I want to get better at this game. I want to play against better people. I want the knowledge. And then when I join every single Discord that I've been told to join to get matches, and I ask for matches and nobody ever says anything, unless I start acting like a different person in the same way that I hate doing when I'm at work, nobody gives me like the time of day. No one wants to play. You need to force yourself into every conversation and act in the way that's as appealing to as many people who are in that position of being able to give you what you want as possible, to then finally start to get somewhere with that. And I hated that. I hate the culture. I hate the way that everybody needs to be like this big famous Twitch streamer now. Nobody just wants to play the game anymore. I asked for advice from someone on Twitter one time who was supposed to be this really good Lars player, and they just said, practice your fundamentals. I can't tell you much because I charge for lessons. And I was like, charge for lessons? What do you mean charge for lessons? And that's fine if he wants to make a living, who cares? But like, before someone would just tell me, if I want to get better at Virtua Fighter, I can go check the forum that's been up for like 900 years that has like every single character specific matchup, like interaction listed in alphabetical order with a glossary on the side to explain things that are too complicated. I'm not getting mad at people for wanting to make a living or, provide for their families or just, get more popular with this thing. It's just a different climate. Before, you used to be able to ask somebody who's standing next to you, how do I block this move? And they would tell you. Now, if you want that knowledge, you need to join a Discord server, and you need to give the owner $5 to get access to the cool special room where people actually talk, hang out there all day, and then maybe somebody's going to answer your question. And that's made even harder when you play a character that's not popular. It's not as bad in Tekken 8 now because Lars is like way more popular now. But in Tekken 7, it was like I could not find information on how to play this character better. I just had to watch the one or two times that Lohai just randomly decided to throw the match when you picked him. That's how I had to like learn with that, and it wasn't fun. I don't like doing that. I want to meet people to play with. I want to have fun playing this game. But when everyone's acting like Nin, where it's like, oh, I beat somebody, okay, now I have to deal, now, like, in between rounds, I have to manage the death threats that I get on my phone. Yes, I'm being hyperbolic, I've never gotten a real death threat. Then it's not worth it anymore. When I'm not allowed to continue to play the game because I land moves consistently against somebody who doesn't deal with them properly, then it's not fun anymore. It's not a good environment, and I hate that. Now, I'm not, like, JDCR or anything. I didn't get beaten up for ducking highs in the arcade, obviously. But I don't want to be a part of a culture that encourages immense negativity and then super positivity whenever some famous person walks into the room like, welcome to the Tekken community. We're a lot better than the other fighting game guys. And I'm just tired of dealing with people whose entire existence hinges on how well they performed in a player match. We're not even talking about people who are like placing top 8 consistently at tournaments. We're talking about player matches. We're talking about ranked. We're talking about casuals. I have gone to casuals before and then thought to myself, I can't hit this guy because if I do, he's going to swing his chair at me in real life. I have had that happen before. I think the worst that ever got when it came to fighting games is when I was playing Rev 2, a Guilty Gear. There was this guy I used to know who took it so seriously. And I was playing Soul, he was playing Johnny, and it was like 9-0 in the set or something like that, and I just kept doing Grand Viper over and over and over again because he never blocked it. And then I would just do like Fafnir or something on Oki because he'd mash every single time, and it was funny. And he screamed at me, like at the top of his lungs. He screamed at me. I'm not making this up. His nose started bleeding, and he screamed at me. And he said, I think I'm better than you, and you're just getting lucky because you're mashing. And then there was another time we were playing or something, and like I had a really important phone call or text message come up. And I had to like respond to that super quick. So like I took my phone out and I started responding to it because it was like super important. And I was like, one sec, this is important. And then he closed the game and he said, I'm done with you. You're a waste of time. If you're not going to take this seriously, then I won't take you seriously. Those are real things that were said to me by someone who was losing. Like, I'm done with you. You're a waste of time. And they're down by 10. And then, like, I was like, okay, I'm not going to talk to this person ever again. And they're like, what did I do? What's going on with Cameron? And it's like, what do you mean, what did you do? Like, hey, man, I'm going through a lot right now. It's like, going through a lot right now doesn't give you an excuse to threaten somebody. It's just a video game. Who cares? Wow, you can't block the same low 8 times in a row. Better threaten someone. Better scream at someone and make them feel unsafe because you're losing in a video game. Wow, that's just a culture, bro. No, it's not. That's just an idiot. That's just an asshole. And then, like, other people were coming in, like, defending that, too. That's a horrible environment. That's a horrible place to be. Whether or not this person wins this single round of this video game influences if the sun will come up for them tomorrow. It influences if they're still gonna have their job tomorrow, if they're still gonna be able to eat food tomorrow, if they're still gonna have running water. And it just got too much. The pressure was just too much. Now, at the start of this video, I said I played Tekken again recently, and I ended up enjoying it. I ended up having a lot of fun with it, but I still don't want to play it anymore. And why is that? Why is it that if, despite everything I said right now, I went back to it and I still ended up having a lot of fun with it? Well, for starters, a lot of my friends who play Tekken become really awful people when we play Tekken. And I dislike that. I don't like hitting somebody with a counter hit, and then all of a sudden they start saying things about me that they know make me upset. Like, not even banter or whatever. If they want to say I'm like a mindless idiot or something after I land a move, that's fine, that's funny. I'm talking to like personal attacks on things that they know make me upset. Like, if I land a counter hit or something, they're gonna be like, well, you would land a counter like that since you don't have a job and you have all the time in the world to be lazy and not do anything with your life. And it's like, I thought we were just playing this game to have fun, man. I'm sorry I slept with your wife. Like, geez Louise, man. I'm sorry. So I dislike that. But then the thing about it, too, is that I realize I have a lot of fun with it. I realize that when I booted up Tekken the other day, 4.5 hours went by and I didn't even realize that. 4.5 hours? I haven't written in this. I haven't read any books. I haven't been studying Japanese. I haven't been exercising as much as I'd like to be. I haven't been writing as much as I'd like to be. I haven't been figuring out my circumstances. And then if I go and play Tekken, that's going to be a quarter at least of my day spent doing nothing. But Cameron, this is something that you care about. It helped you learn self-improvement and to make your skin a little bit thicker so you can deal with how hard life is a little bit more. That's not a bad thing, is it? It's not. And I love Tekken. I love everything that it's given me and all the lessons that I've learned from Tekken. Getting screamed at because you hit somebody with a DP when they keep jumping in 8 times in a row and feeling like they're going to bash a chair over your head makes working in a mental hospital a lot easier. It makes getting yelled at on the phone when you can't reset the person's password a lot easier. It makes dealing with teenage girls who are having a difficult time and you're trying to help them get back up on their feet a lot easier. Because all of those situations felt a lot safer than playing fighting games at locals. And that's sad. It's just supposed to be a game and it's just supposed to be fun. It shouldn't feel more stressful than working in a mental hospital or working in a correctional facility for teenage girls. And playing Tekken made me realize that if I set my mind to it, I can accomplish anything that I want to. I can be the best in the world at anything that I care about. But even then, being the best in the world doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that I'm doing better on a personal level, and I'm further than I was yesterday. I wouldn't have gotten that far without Tekken. And in the same way that in Tekken 8, Jin finally stopped hating himself and stopped blaming himself for everything that was done to him and realizing that it's okay for him to want to keep living despite everything that he's done. That he can move on from his mistakes. And that when he finally beat Kazuya, spoilers for a story mode that nobody played, when he finally beats Kazuya, it's using everything that he already had within him. It's not being ashamed of who he is. He doesn't need anime powers or anything like that. It's just through what he had in his like heart from the start. It's fully accepting himself. I think I finally accepted that this video game isn't going to make me happy. I'm not going to change anybody's life for the better through playing this video game. I'm not improving at the things that genuinely matter to me anymore. Because I'm tired of having the thing that I care the most about being contingent on whether or not they decide to randomly buff Dragunov again or randomly nerf my character. If you're good at chess, you're just good at chess, you know? I mean, that's just a game too. But if you're good at Lars and you wake up one day and all of a sudden his combos just don't work anymore, it's like, well, now my wall carry's worse, or oh, now this move's more unsafe. Well, now I'm just worse at the game by default. And the adaptability that comes from dealing with patch notes and dealing with other people's anger and justification to make you feel bad so that way they can, you know, not have to take the blame for losing is something that would be better spent helping other people or just trying to find a way to make a positive difference in the world. And if Tekken isn't about playing the game and having fun anymore, it's about trying to be famous. It's about kissing up to people as much as possible to get invited into like secret groups and stuff like that, then I don't want to be a part of that. I want to get better on my own terms. I want to be a hero by my own standards. I don't want the purpose of my life to be fulfilled by other people in a context where I need to force myself into being somebody that I'm not. It's the same thing I said about my job, and it's the same thing I say about Tekken. It's the same thing that comes to everything in my life. I don't want to be someone that I'm not. I think Lars is really cool. I think Jin is really cool. I think Steve is really cool. You know what? I think that Ken is really cool. I think that Soul Bad Guy is really cool. I think that Bang Shishigami is really cool. I think all these fighting game characters are super cool. And I'm not ashamed of that. I think that Lars's theme in Tekken 7 rocks. Every time it came on, I made the comeback. Everybody says that song sucks and I don't care. I think it's tight. It's awesome. And you know, if Jin's like finally at a point where he's accepted himself and he's moved on and he doesn't have to keep fighting like that anymore, then I don't have to either. I can move on. I can change. I don't have to keep fighting anymore. And I don't want to fight people. I don't think that fighting is fun. I don't think beating somebody up and being better than somebody else is fun. And that positive growth that I want isn't present. Because I'm at a level where if I want to get better, I'd have to become that type of person, and I don't want to do that. And to that extent, it's better if I don't play Tekken. And that's a really sad thing to admit, but I love Tekken. It really means a lot to me. But I'm done playing Tekken. Not forever, obviously. I might turn it on every now and then, but I'm done, you know, trying to be serious about it. I'm done treating it like it's more than the game that it is. But when I say that it's just a game, I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I love video games. And I'm going to continue to love video games. Maybe I just don't really, you know, like season passes or games coming out unfinished, but I'll always love video games. And I'll always love Tekken. But for now, it's better if I just focus on myself instead and step away from all of that negativity. Not even just Tekken, I mean fighting games in general, you know? Who cares about being better than somebody else? I just want to be better than myself. So I wanted to talk about that. And I hope that if you watched this far, maybe you enjoyed listening to that. If you've like had any similar experiences or you have like a different opinion or something, I always love hearing about that. I always love talking about these types of things with people. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that maybe you'll stick around. I don't know if I'm going to talk about fighting games again. Maybe. Who knows? But I really enjoyed talking about this, and so thank you for watching. And I still think Lars is cool, and nobody's ever going to prove me wrong on that.